Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another Dooley Noted Podcast. What number is this? 112? 113? 112? Okay. We, of course, as always, presented by Titan MRI. And we are, of course, here from the podcast room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, which has been hopping. You know, the cool thing, we did the radio show yesterday, and when we walked out, it was banging in here, and people were everywhere, and ran into Mark Wise, who we had just been talking about how great he was on the radio. And he was here with Phil Pyle. I can't think of his first name for some reason. His name's gone dark on me. But they did the game on Wednesday, and they're doing the game on Saturday when Florida plays. So that was just great to see him, and just always great to see so many people here, and it's really pretty cool. And all the other people that we love and all of our great sponsors, whether it's Adams Ribco to go, which I told you I had a great meal there the other day. The Leonardo's, of course, my favorite, the Parmesan sub, chicken Parmesan sub. Say it the right way. And, of course, Ballyhoo, where we eat a lot of meals, believe me. All those people and all of our other sponsors, we're kind of in a little bit of flux right now with sponsorships. We've got a couple that are maybe changing, and hopefully they change. And not because we don't like the old ones, but we got to have new ones because we understand that. Anyway, so we got a great show for you today. I hope you enjoy it. A lot of stuff I want to talk about, and a lot of things that we'll get to, especially during the three things presented by Hand Law that I want to get to. The ones, I don't even know if it's scoop, but it may be a little bit of a scoop. Today's guest is Ahmad Black, and I know I said Chris Doring would be on today. I screwed that up myself. That was me not following up on something. Chris could not do it. He will do next Monday, not this Monday. So Ahmad is going to do it today, and Ahmad is perfect because I want to talk to him about, what's going on over there at Florida, how they're changing things up, and how I'm curious from a former player, what his level of excitement is, because there is a buzz, and we talked about this the other day, how here at Florida, there's great momentum, and I don't think the momentum was going. It's so funny because it's so weird. Is that this is the bell curve bell curve's not the right word. This is just the roller coaster that Florida's been on. It's what?
What's a sine wave?
A sine wave, okay. This is what it's been like, the sine wave. That Florida's been on. Because, as I said before, their winning percentage, 636 of the three coaches they fired. There's places where they would build a statue. I mean, it's just, but every one of them had this, and then it went like this, so it bottomed out. Like this. Let's just do it real quickly. Here's Muschamp, wins 11 games, almost plays for the national championship. Really had a chance to do it, loses to Georgia Southern, goes 4-8. Here comes McElwain, 2 straight SEC's champion. That's the way the Gators are supposed to be in Atlanta. That's the way it should be. They lose games. He doesn't handle things well. Just right down the roller coaster. And so here's clickety, clickety, clickety. You build it up with the next guy, Dan Mullen. You win a championship in the East. You also went to 3 New Year's Bowls and click, 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 and then right back down. It's a scary ride to be on. And that's what they're hoping with Billy Napier, that they don't have, that they can maintain it. And when you have your bad year, here's what you're trying to do. You're climbing, and maybe you have a bad year and you go like this. You don't go like this. So I hope my arms were in the camera frame for all that great, some of it anyway. So anyway, Ahmad Black today, I want to talk to him. HBC will be on Monday. We'll talk a little bit about the award that, of course, is given out in his name. 2 coaches that are going to be here in a couple of weeks, Shane Beamer and Josh Heupel. In fact, Josh Heupel's won this award twice because he won it at UCF and at Tennessee, and it's for first-year coaches. Billy Napier will have a chance. I mean, first year at their school. Billy Napier will certainly have a chance this year, although with their schedule, I don't know that I wouldn't bet on it, but who knows? And we'll get to some more football stuff. There's something that means a lot to me that I want to talk about with football. But this is right now a basketball school all of a sudden. And when I say basketball school, I mean men's and women's basketball. Now, we're not going to get carried away here. Florida won 2 games against mediocre teams in the SEC. Bubble, one of them was a bubble team and now is knocked off the bubble. And Florida in women's basketball has actually been more impressive what they've done in the SEC, winning 4 straight SEC games. And these were pretty good teams. 2 of them were ranked. I know Kentucky was down last night, but this is all of a sudden it's back to being a basketball school. We never know what we want to be, what kind of school wants to be here. Tomorrow it may be a tennis school. Well, it kind of is a tennis school. But, everybody likes to say it's an everything school. The trouble is Florida hasn't been an everything school because things have been dropping off and falling off that have been really, surprising. At any rate, so the basketball game on Wednesday night felt like every game that they had lost in the SEC, fall behind, have a bad stretch, battle back and show great heart in battling back, and then just fall short. And maybe you wear out. A lot of times when you have to fight back and try to score a lot of points and catch up, you wear out. You don't have enough to maintain it, and that's what everybody thought we were going to see again. We're sitting there watching the game. We're going, obviously O-Dome's not the O-Dome anymore. It's not that big of a home court advantage. So guess what happens, though? They just keep playing great without Castleton. And I don't know when Castleton is going to be back. I don't know if he's going to be back. It sounded like a pretty severe shoulder injury, and it wasn't the same injury. It was a different injury, according to I think Mike White said that last night with Jeff. But I think that's coming from UF. That's not coming from anybody's speculation. So who knows when he's going to be back? But DeRougie was amazing in that game. Florida now up to 39th in net ranking, and I know I shouldn't pay this much attention to it. You're going to have plenty of chances to, but they got this 3-game and 5-day stretch, which is going to be tough physically. You got to play guys, a lot of guys. You can't get, Jatovo can't get in foul trouble because you can't play Gaktek that much. But you're going to have to play him, probably more than he ever thought he would be playing. So 3 games in 5 days. This is because of the Ole Miss postponement, which will now be a Monday game. Saturday, they have Vanderbilt, which is always dangerous to Scottie Pippen Jr. He scored 75 points against Florida last year. 75 in 3 games. Florida won them all. And then the women. Last night, I'm out to dinner with my wife at Nopal. I want to give them a little plug. I love that place. It's great, and I'm trying to get them aboard as a sponsor either for this or for the Bob Dooley Invitational. And my daughter calls me and says, "Hey, our women are really doing good tonight." And I go, "What's the score? Are they in it?" She goes, "Dad, they're killing them. They're up by 25." I go, "What are you talking about?" So I get home, I watch the game. Yeah, they are. And, you got to give a lot of credit to what she is doing. Kelly Ray Finley. Their average, I saw this, I get this from Chris Harry, a tweet from him. Their average number of wins the last 5 years in the SEC, 4. That's how many they have already this year. Their average number of wins overall in the last 5 years, 12. They've got 14. Now, their net ranking is not very high. They had a very soft and not a very productive, in a lot of ways, non-conference schedule. But they're 14-5. They're 68 in net. Of those 4 SEC wins in a row, 3 of them came on the road. So they've got a big game with LSU this week, and then they get South Carolina after that next Sunday. So it's really interesting. Another thing on the football I wanted to, but again, we're a basketball school for a couple of days anyway. On the football part of it, Florida, I think he's pretty much got this completed, their Army and their staff. Sean Spencer, the co-defensive coordinator. But the one that really made me happy, because I have been bitching for years. I mean, for several years, since Urban Meyer left, about the lack of attention to special teams and that Florida doesn't seem to do the kind of things they did under Urban Meyer where they would change games. I would say that all the time and get mad. I would give them bad grades on special teams. So they hire a guy. His name's Chris Couch, not the former Gator golfer, although he's a good friend of mine. Still is a good friend of mine. I just don't see him as much. And he is going to be the game changer coordinator. Now, exactly. As soon as I saw that, I went, yes, that's what you need. Look, how many times are we going to say this? If college football is 3 things, right? You got to have offense, defense, and special teams. All 3 are just as important. That wasn't the case here. Hasn't been the case here for a while. I mean, unless you had a dynamic punt returner that could make people miss, like Antonio Callaway, it hadn't been a whole lot. You know, DeBose, blanked out on his first name. Andre DeBose could run in a straight line as fast as anybody. That was about it. I love that they hired a coach to be in charge of their special teams. And the other thing is, he's not even a member of the staff. And it really doesn't matter that he's not a member of the staff. He's an analyst or I don't know, what's the word for what he's doing. It's not even full time, but he's getting paid great money. And he's, but the bottom line is he's going to be in charge of special teams. Before it was like, all right, one guy's in charge of, I'm trying to remember which coach this was under. One guy's in charge of punt block, one guy's in charge of kickoff returns, different coaches. Never worked out. I'm thrilled that they hired that. And when we get to Ahmad Black in just a minute, I know he's going to be, I want to ask him about that as well. So we got a lot to talk about today. Of course, we got a this, that, and the other coming up. Can't wait for that. I got a good one for you here on this one. And all the other great things we do on this show. Right now, we do need to take a break. When we come back, the man I call the closer, Ahmad Black, will join us, and we look forward to talking to him about what's going on at Florida right now, and also I want to talk to him about special teams because he knows about special teams. All right, we will be right back here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. More than 6,000 veterans take their lives each year, with more than 500 of them occurring in Florida. The Fire Watch Council was established to unite our war fighters and allies to stand watch and build a mutual aid network of veterans and civilian volunteers across Florida trained to identify risk factors of veterans in crisis and to direct those veterans to needed resources. You can invest an hour to join our support network by becoming a watchstander to stand in the gap and support our veterans. Go to thefirewatch.org to learn how to get involved, get off the sidelines, and take a stand on behalf of our veterans. All right, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted Podcast, of course, presented by Titan MRI from the podcast room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Always like coming here to do the podcast, and we always do one radio show, or sometimes two and three. So it's a pretty cool setup here. Right now, we are going to go talk to the man I call the closer. And I want to find out if Ahmad Black, whether that nickname that I gave you has stuck at all, or is it just me? Am I the only one that'll call you that?
Yeah, I think we got to promote it a little bit more to get it out there so I can be called that more often, right?
Well, I mean, the point of it was you closed out so many games for the Gators when you were playing. I mean, the pick against Penn State, the pick against Oklahoma. There was another one against, I think it was Georgia, Tennessee.
Yeah. So we prided ourselves on, especially playing with Urban and whatnot. We did a lot of drills. The offense scores, they win. The defense scores, or stops them, we win. And we pride ourselves on making that big play, especially at the end of the game to secure the victory. So I always wanted to be the one to make sure our team did that.
Well, I know you got your Tampa Bay shirt on, so I know you're excited about this weekend. I'm excited about all the games. I mean, it's going to be a fun weekend. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, that game with the Bucks is going to be real interesting.
Absolutely. We were just talking about it. People love to talk about Brady's team as a super team, and we got all these guys. Well, the Rams freaking loaded up, right? We got Aaron Donald, coming off the defensive line, and then Von Miller. Floyd's not
Let's
bad.
just go pick up Von Miller. How about that?
You're right. And then you got freaking Ramsey in the back end, and then the third receiver is Van Jefferson. I mean, let me tell you how exactly. What are we talking about? So.
Well, it'll be it's you don't bet against Brady though, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be an interesting game. There's no question about it. Hey, I was just talking about this. Florida hired this guy Chris Couch, who is going to be the game changer coordinator, and that means he's in charge of special teams. And, I mean, about special teams, and you know how important they were to Urban Meyer, and it doesn't seem like they have been. And it just warmed my heart to hear that about Billy Napier.
Absolutely. That's one of the aspects of the game that kind of gets overlooked, right? When the guys go into college and, think about all the great things they want to do at that school, and when the coach comes, I'm not sure how many coaches come in and say, hey, you're going to be a special teams guy. And, with a coach telling the kid that, not knowing the severity of how that can change a game, I think that can deter him, right? And, everyone wants to be the starting wide receiver or the starting quarterback and, the starting safety or corner. But, ultimately that kind of comes with playing great special teams. And that's what I was told when I first got to Florida. And, that's how I looked at it. So, to get a guy in that's have a special teams mind, Urban was very special teamish. Like, we would have freaking no meetings, but we have special team meetings. And that says a lot about what he wanted to get done, and, in that phase of football. And, that can, you get in short fields on kick returns and punt returns. The percentage of actually scoring points and getting on the board it shoots up tremendously when you have great special teams play. So, and, I can remember games where we blocked 2-3 punts in the game and, blocked field goals in the national championship. It ultimately won us games by doing so.
Oh yeah, no question about it. Well, that Arkansas game was one, but yeah, I mean, it's I think that it's a fine line, in, like, you want to put your best players on special teams because they're that important, but you don't want them. You're more likely to get them hurt on special teams. It's tough to make that call.
Well, you got to understand too, we're also playing football.
Yeah.
So, you can get hurt on defense or offense as well. So, if it's meant for you to get hurt, I mean, let's not be good on special teams because we don't want our freaking starting safety playing special teams. That doesn't make sense. So,
that's the way I've always felt. Yeah.
Yeah, even with Urban, I mean, I was on special teams. I was playing freaking punt, and I wasn't fast enough to play punt block. We had freaking sprinters on punt block. But I played punt team. I remember the year I had 7 interceptions. I played kickoff return.
Yeah. And
kickoff. So I was out there kickoff return. I made sure that every time that they needed me on the field, I was available. And we got to get over this ego crap that these younger guys are getting themselves into, because you can make the Pro Bowl in the NFL playing special teams.
And you can stay in the NFL playing special teams.
Absolutely.
I used to have that conversation with Doring. He said, sometimes I wish I was like 3 inches shorter, so I could be. I would be more compact, and I could run down the field on kickoffs, and I could have stayed in the league longer.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to, relay that message to these kids to get them to understand that, you may not be a day one starter, but you have to earn your keep.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If you are, if you play special teams, if you get assigned to play special teams, then you better play it at a high level. And I think I've not seen that here. First of all, I think, as you know, Ahmad, with the kickoff rule that we have now, I think that inhibits guys running down the field, because they go, I'm going to run all the way down here, and they're never going to run it back and stuff like that. But even like on punts, I mean, Florida never tries to run back punts and never tries to block kicks.
Well, the thing with Adazio, he used to have him schemed up. Now, I'm not sure if it was his scheme, but he would coach us on that scheme. And, our kickoff returns and punt returns, granted, we had one of the best returners in the country, literally. And that kind of helped. But, we would go, all throughout the week, just, honing down on the returns that we're going to call, honing down on who we're supposed to block. And that gave us success in the games. I mean, I think that kick return rule is stupid. I mean, I'm all about player safety, but if you freaking catch the ball on the 5-yard line, you can't freaking call a fair catch and freaking get the ball at 20 or 25, whatever. That's freaking garbage. Like, if it's in the end zone, all right. Don't freaking get it at the 10-yard line, 5-yard line, and freaking call fair catch, and then now you're at the freaking 20.
Well,
like, no, you call a fair catch you call a fair catch at the 10, you need the ball at the 10-yard line. Point blank simple.
That's right. Well, it's almost like, nobody wants to run them back because you're going to get the ball in the 25 in college, and so nobody even bothers to try. And it feels like either get rid of kickoffs completely or don't let that happen. It seems like the compromise they made is not a good one.
And especially you have a freaking dynamic offense. Like you take someone, you need a stop, and you're playing against freaking 2019 LSU, and they get the ball at freaking 25. Like that's garbage. You almost have no chance, almost. So, again, I'm all for player safety. I don't want anyone to say, about once people hurt. I'm all for player safety, but I don't like that rule.
Speaking though of Urban Meyer, who, and again, whenever we talk about the things that he did here and the success he had and the focus on things that mattered, you think about all the traditions at Florida now that were started by Urban Meyer and all the good things he did. Were you just blown away by how it all fell apart up in Jacksonville? Almost at the same time, it fell apart in Gainesville with his protege Dan Mullen.
Yeah, it was weird. Actually, Coach Meyer, called me yesterday. So we spoke about, we talked about 15 minutes or so on the phone, and that's one of the things we didn't talk about was the debacle down in Jacksonville. But it was just super weird. I mean, obviously, I think they would have gave him another opportunity, another shot if it wasn't so much off the field issues, right? Yeah. And in the NFL, that's a league that they don't have a high tolerance for off the field issues unless you're freaking Gordon playing wide receiver and you can freaking get it, reinstated every other year. But whatever. But besides that, I mean, they don't have really a lot of wiggle room from off the field issues, especially if you're not winning games. So not saying Urban has a history of having those off the field issues, but when you're winning games, they kind of somewhat get covered up.
Well, and that's the thing with the Ring of Honor with him now is that's been put off again because of the off the field issues, not because he got fired, but because there's a couple of things that obviously happened, and it's just not a good. I think Florida's biggest fear is that fans boo him, when he's introduced, and they did set it up perfectly, having Spurrier introduce him at one of the earlier games, and that was great, but. Now it's probably taking another couple of years off.
I mean, I understand, the fans and whatnot, but sometimes it's a bunch of baloney. The same fans who were ready to boo us are the same fans who ride around with 2006 and 2008 stickers on their car. So, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too in this situation.
Well,
but
Gator fans
whatever.
do want that.
I don't get paid to make those decisions. So,
yeah.
I'm just trying to hopefully one day I can get in the freaking Hall of Fame here. So I don't get paid to make those decisions.
That should be a lock. What do you got? You're at the threshold, right?
Yeah, I think it's like 10 or 11 years or something like that.
I think it's 10. Yeah. Let me do something. I'll put something in somebody's ear over there. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah. Tebow and those guys went in, and rightfully so. Those guys freaking earned it. I mean,
Spikes and James this year, yeah.
Yeah, it was an honor just to even play with those guys, and to be able to call those guys my friends, and all of us in the group chat, and keep up with each other's families and whatnot is so cool, because I talk to those guys more than I do the guys that I went to high school with sometimes, and the guys I grew up with. So those relationships last a lifetime, and that's one of the things that can be a selling point to these kids is, hey, you're going to meet some people that you can freaking, invite to your wedding one day and, have your kids around and watch your kids grow. And, that's what's important as well. It's bigger than football sometimes. So.
What do you think about what's going on here now with Billy Napier? And I think you had a couple of tweets about the parking situation. I think every former Gator now wants back their money that they paid for parking citations.
Oh, my God. I think after this interview, I'm going to go work on my jump shot. I think Mike White can use me. I can get some more eligibility going on around there. It's just awesome, just to get some of the feedback from some of the players that's getting recruited. Saying that, some of the things that they're doing, even the small things, they matter, right? And the housing, for instance, and, not saying they're outdated, but, I mean, 12 whatever years ago, people were living in Springs. I mean, in Keys Complex. I mean, it's time for an upgrade. And I felt like at one point we were getting a little complacent and, getting okay with what we had. And it's time for change. I mean, we have to keep up. You know, we can't just, you know, rely on, you know, coaches going in the kids' houses and saying, hey, you know, you're going to come to Florida, and, you know, the logo, and, you know, we got to make it look nice and make it look appealing. You know, I see how you know, you get off an exit on Archer Road in Gainesville, looks totally different than Archer Road a couple of years ago, but you have to continue to do that, and that'll help get some of these big time players in there. And you got to remember too, you know, I know we spend so much time talking about, you know, this coach can recruit, that coach can recruit. Well, guess who recruits the best? The players, right? The players that's coming in. I remember, you know, freaking Percy Harvin said he wanted to play with Tebow, and then freaking Brandon Spike said he wanted to play with Tebow and Percy. I don't give a dang who the coach was at that time, you know. So, you know, those type of things are what we need. We need guys like a Gervon Dexter who can bring guys in, and you know, some of these IMG guys who, you know, I see them tweeting each other all the time. You know, we can make an impression on, you know, one or two of those guys. We can get a boatload of guys in, you know, but we got to find things that's appealing. We gotta be able to navigate through all the craziness and whatnot that's going on in recruiting and whatnot, and I think we can make it happen.
Well, that's the thing. It's not just about getting players with all the, again, with this new facility they're going to have and better parking, better food, better housing. It's not just about getting them. It's about keeping them. It's about making them more so they're comfortable where they are. And that's why Georgia and Alabama, even with all those guys that got in the transfer site or the transfer portal after the game, the only reason they did is they weren't going to play, you know. So, but, I mean, the other guys feel very comfortable where they are.
Yeah, and, you know, at one point, that's how we were. Obviously, we didn't have the transfer portal. But guys were comfortable being at Florida. I mean, you know, you have the few guys that aren't going to play who actually wants to play and want to go somewhere to have that opportunity. But we gotta get good guys in, change the culture a little bit, and learn how to keep those guys. And that's easier said than done, especially with the generation that we have now. You know, it's almost like a what have we done lately type deal, but. You know, hopefully we can, you know, with Billy, you know, I heard nothing but great things about him. I mean, freaking Urban was raving about him over the phone. And,
was he?
I actually sent him a text this morning. Urban gave me his number. He haven't texted back, so hopefully he's out recruiting and not just ignoring me. But
I'm going to hack your phone and get that number. But you know, the thing is, and I agree with everything that he's doing, okay? Right. Bringing in this army of people, making things better for the players, making things more comfortable. But you still have to have players. You still have to be talented. And I'm of the opinion that last year's team wasn't that talented. Some people disagree with me. There were talented players. There just weren't enough of them. You know, there weren't enough great. Like they had no number one receiver, and that's hard. It's hard on a quarterback when he doesn't have a number one guy.
Well, what goes into that number one receiver also is, I mean, I look at the 2009 year, right? We had a Riley Cooper, but was he really a guy that creates separation? And yes, Riley's a great talent. Riley does some great things. But we needed a guy like Lewis Murphy who runs Chris routes and can get open at any time. We need someone like Percy who can freaking run past a defender and get open. We didn't have that go-to guy. I mean, yeah, we had a Deontay Thompson who can freaking run a 4.19 handheld, but when it's time to run a comeback or a dig, or, you know, can you create the separation to get open? And I don't think we had that. That goes back to, again, what we had last year. Our offensive line just kind of stunk it up on our right side a lot of times. And that's been an issue for a few years. And now we have to, I mean, it caught us in the butt and bit us in the butt. So I can remember freaking play LSU, the shoe game. You know, I think Trash freaking fumbled in the first half and threw an interception. Yeah, because he got freaking pressure and is sitting in his lap from the right side. Right. So, you know, we can, you know, we can say it till we blue in the face, but we gotta get better in the trenches. And that's where Alabama is good. That's where Georgia is good. And ultimately they got guys who can create separation and make big plays.
All right, my man. Well, hey, you got anything you want to plug or anything you want to promote other than you being in the Hall of Fame, which I'm going to work on?
I appreciate it, man. At the end of the day, though, I'm just so excited to be part of Gator Nation. Whether I'm in it or not, I got some rings to speak for it and some great relationships. So, all that'll come. If I'm blessed with that, that's a great opportunity. But I got a Florida degree, so I'm okay.
Yeah, and the other thing you need to do is get those Lakeland guys playing a little bit better because they got a lot of Lakeland guys on this team, and they need to step it up just a little bit. And you know who I'm talking about.
Well, what I was thinking as well too, just seeing like guys like Hopper get in, and guys that didn't play much throughout the season who played in the bowl game and played fairly decent. I'm wondering why. Right, we had a freaking bulldozer at running back. No disrespect to Malik Davis, but then we freaking ran Malik Davis all day long. Like we didn't rotate. I mean, it was things like that.
It was weird.
Kind of like, it was grinding my gears. And then when these other guys get in the game, it's like, where has he been? Why wasn't he playing? And it kind of got back to me that they like to play their favorites and whatnot. But hey, we passed that. Hopefully, we start playing the best guys, and ultimately that's great for the Gators. So.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Ahmad. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
It's always
Thanks
great
for
to
having
have
me.
you on Another Dooley Noted Podcast, and I'll see you soon, okay?
All righty, man. Take care.
We'll see you. Ahmad Black, the closer, the finisher, whatever you want to call him. He was a great. Actually, the eraser was Reggie Nelson. Ahmad was the finisher. He would finish the games off. By the way, he mentioned Hopper. Tyron Hopper got his name in the transfer portal and took it out like the next day or within that day. So I don't know what happened there, but maybe he accidentally put it in. Maybe he thought he was ordering something from Wendy's, and it turned out he was in this portal. So that's good news for Florida. I mean, that gives them two linebackers that are really good players, and Ventrell Miller and Hopper. So that's certainly interesting. Appreciate Ahmad coming on the show. We do need to get to a break. Then we'll come back. We got all of our fun stuff to do that we always like to do. I call it now the usual suspects. I write it down, the usual suspects that we will do. You know what they are. We'll get to those. When we return, you are watching Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to go. Come on down and enjoy it. More than 6,000 veterans take their lives each year, with more than 500 of them occurring in Florida. The Fire Watch Council was established to unite our warfighters and allies to stand watch and build a mutual aid network of veterans and civilian volunteers across Florida trained to identify risk factors of veterans in crisis and to direct those veterans to needed resources. You can invest an hour to join our support network by becoming a watchstander to stand in the gap and support our veterans. Go to thefirewatch.org to learn how to get involved, get off the sidelines, and take a stand on behalf of our veterans. All right, welcome back to another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI. We are here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill from the podcast room. I did want to mention, I guess every show we have to mention a celebrity death lately. It's unbelievable. Sometimes it's athletes, sometimes it's obviously other people. But I did want to mention this: that Meatloaf passed away this morning, or last night, surrounded by his family. I didn't really read to see what. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what you die of. You're dead. That's all that matters. But the thing about Meatloaf, I was never a giant fan of Meatloaf, but Bat Out of Hell is one of the best albums ever made. But it's amazing to me that this guy could become such a big star, and he did. A big fat guy with really long, stringy hair, but kind of a Chris Farley look about him, but he just sang his tail off and came up with some of the great songs. Obviously, some were written for him as well, but it was kind of, Meatloaf was kind of a big deal. And I remember he was in a couple of movies, Leap of Faith, I think it was called, with Steve Martin and Deborah Winger, was really good. I love that movie. He was in a bunch of stuff, and just a good guy, it seemed like. I didn't know him, obviously, but I just wanted to mention him because I think his career is worth mentioning. I think somebody should mention it. So, really sorry to see that. But it's, like I said, feels like every day, every show I do, let's catch up on who's died lately. This is what happened. This is what my dad used to do to me, and I would drive. He'd say, "Remember Steve Rogero? Remember that guy? He used to do that. He's dead. He just died. Yeah, he'd always. Now that's me doing it. I'm doing the same thing. I am my father's child." All right, it is time for three things, and three things are, as always, are presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. Golly, I had a little spittle that was like flying around. I was like Rosanna Dana, just a little spittle at the end of her nose. All right, so three things. Number one, you may have seen this last night, or you may have read about it, but Memphis basketball team lost again. I don't really care that much about Memphis, the university. But when Penny Hardaway went there, I think a lot of people said, well, he's going to get the players now. He has a connection with all these guys from AAU. They're just going to keep getting players, and they've gotten some really good players, some highly recruited players, no doubt, but they're 9-8 right now, and they are struggling to beat anybody, and he went off on the media. Of course, it's always the media's fault. We are the problem. We are the scourge of America. I'm saying that sarcastically, of course. But so he basically says, don't ask me any more stupid effing questions, and this and that, and drops a bunch of F-bombs in his press conference, and says, look, we're dealing with a lot because the guys that they've had injuries, they've had COVID situations. They've been undermanned. Everybody's been through that. What do you think Florida's sitting there right now? Their best player, their SEC Player of the Year candidate, although we all know who's going to win it from Kentucky, is out, and we don't know for how long. They've had to postpone games. Everybody's got a problem. The Kentucky team that lost to Duke or lost to Florida in women's basketball last night had all kinds of problems. We're seeing games postponed. Everybody's got problems. You're just making excuses, bro. Sorry. I loved you as a player. I don't like you as a coach. Don't pick on the media. That's not what you're supposed to do. Media is there to ask you what you think. And the question that he asked was legitimate. Are you sure you're the guy to do this? Are you sure you're – look, because coaches will volunteer that all the time. You know, like when they want to light a fire under their team. Andy Lopez was notorious once a year for saying, well, maybe I'm not the guy to be the coach here. Maybe I need to move on. But when a media guy asks it, they get all upset. Like, how dare you? I am working really hard. Of course you're working hard, Penny. I'm ranting too much about this. It just kind of set me off. Number two, we haven't had a lot of transfer portal and coach movement lately around the country, but a significant one today. Derek Mason leaving Auburn after 1 year as defensive coordinator. Of course, the former Vandy coach has moved on to Oklahoma State. Big pickup for them. They lost their coordinator, who was very good, and Derek Mason's a great defensive coach. Look, I don't know how James Franklin won at Vanderbilt. It's a mystery, and maybe in a couple of weeks we'll get somebody on, like Adam Sparks knows. I mean, I know he covers Tennessee now, but he covered Vandy then, how he won, and nobody else can win. Nobody else. And I don't just mean to lose. I mean lose every game. It's just impossible. So he lasted a long time there, Derek Mason did. But anyway, gets fired finally, goes to Auburn, and then moves on. And there's a lot of feeling that Brian Harsin, just a lot of things going wrong for him right now, the coach there. And don't remember when they were I think they were 5-2 and had just beaten LSU or somebody, and people were talking about what a great hire that was, and you know, that's an amazing hire. Obviously that was the best hire in the SEC. Blah blah blah. And then things didn't finish up so well. But if he'd beaten Alabama, everybody'd be in love with him. But that's not the case. Anyway, things seem to be a little rocky there, and they got that firing stick out. They'll pull that stick whenever they want. They did it with a guy 2 years after he won a national championship, so they'll do it. There's something about the SEC West. You got to fire people. Fired. You're fired. You're fired. All right, and finally, number three. I've been talking to a lot of people about this, and Ahmad, I didn't want to bring it up with him because I know he didn't want to betray somebody he was talking to, but as he mentioned, he was talking to Urban yesterday. I've talked to a lot of people about Urban, people who know him very well, and the consensus I get is that Urban Meyer is done coaching. Now, you may say, well, no Sherlock, of course he's done. Because who would hire him? Well, somebody would hire him, okay? That's just the way it works. Somebody would hire him. Somebody in the NFL would hire him eventually at some point. But it would be a long way down the line. But he's done. And I don't blame him after that. Things could not have gone worse in that first year, other than that one win they got that was a great win. In fact, I texted him right afterwards. And no college is going to hire him. Well, some colleges would. Somebody mentioned LSU the other day. Yeah, but I don't think he wants to do that anymore. I'm getting a lot of feedback that he is done and he wants to go back to Fox and maybe boot Bobby Stoops out of there. Bobby's going, what? Wait, I like this job. But maybe he doesn't. I don't know. So that is three things, as always, presented by Hand Law. Now it is time. Now is the time to say goodbye to all our family. Remember that? M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E, Mickey Mouse. I remember all these old slogans and jingles like Jacksonville, what a wonderful town. I know all these things. At this time right now, though, for our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week, Adams Ribco to Go does an unbelievable job right over there on 43rd Street. I stop by there all the time and get something to go, and it is unbelievable. And it's so great because you can get it to go. And I like to eat in the restaurants too, but sometimes you want to be able to take it home for the family. And it's all, by the time you get it home, it's still hot and delicious. So it's great. We love Adams Ribco to Go. The Gator of the Week wasn't decided until last night. And then I decided to go with Kiki Smith. Now, watching that game, I could have gone, and I'll probably screw this name up, Alberti Rimdahl, who was nailing the threes early in the game, ended up with making 5 threes in the game. 5 of 6 on threes, and she was a big part of it. She's from Denmark, by the way. She looks a little bit like Heather Mitz, just a little bit. Anyway, but Kiki Smith just took over the game when they had to have it. I mean, she is their rock now with Lavender Briggs gone. She's the best player. She was unbelievable last year in the SEC tournament. I remember that. 25 points in this game and just keeps making things happen. So it's really interesting to follow this Florida women's basketball team for the first time in a long time. I mean, since the days of Amanda Butler. I mean, where I really am watching games and stuff. So pretty cool. But that is the Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week, Kiki Smith, with her 25 points. Did I mention that gymnastics is going Friday tonight, 6 o'clock? It's on TV against Georgia. I could have made that one of the Hesser and Kipke games of the week, but that's not a game. It's a meet. But instead, right now, I'm going to give you the Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. And most of you did mention Evan. Most of you mentioned his name, so that automatically qualifies you. So there's a lot of people qualified now. And some of you got it right that Florida would have the league scorer. I don't know that any of you knew that it would be DeRougy. He was unbelievable in that game. So we got a lot of people in. So we're pretty close to getting ready to pick another winner. Although Andy McIntosh, who was one of our winners last time, I just got so overwhelmed with some stuff, and I finally sent him an email and said, hey, let's go to lunch next week. I owe you some stuff because I haven't given it to him yet. But I will, I promise. But we'll do another one maybe next Friday. Yeah, I think we will do another one. But this is complicated, but it's easy. Because all you got to do is type in one of these 2 words, over or under. So just do it now. Send it in to patrickdooley54@gmail.com. But there is a catch to it because I want to know, between the men playing Vanderbilt on Saturday and the women playing LSU on Sunday, over, under 140 points combined. Okay, so the men just scored a lot of points, 80 in their win over Mississippi State. The women scored a ton of points last night, I think 79. But, LSU's a lot better defensively for the women. Vandy will probably try to slow the game down. Florida, again, you don't know that they're going to shoot threes and free throws the way they did Wednesday night. That was almost felt like an aberration, but maybe they're starting to get the knack of it. I mean, I think one thing Mike Waite said and one thing the players said was, look, we need to get back to what we were doing at 6-0. And we were just kind of having fun and letting it fly and playing with confidence. And that's what they've done these last 2 games. So we'll see how that works out. But so over or under 140 points combined for the men and women in basketball. It's not complicated, but it's interesting. You got to think about it a little bit. You'll probably go look at some stats as well. All right, it is time right now for the Hesser and Kipke Games of the Week. They are brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Here are the games of the week, according to me, but Hesser and Kipke is in charge of them. And we appreciate them. Of course, double sponsors. We really appreciate everything they do. All right. College basketball, it's the SEC's world on Saturday. Now, when I say that, I mean, obviously there's a lot of great teams playing. But there's two games involving rank on rank, and they're both in the SEC. So I'm going to give the national game and the SEC game are both going to, well, the SEC game, obviously. We'll go to the SEC. The national game to me is Kentucky at Auburn. That's going to be incredible because Kentucky is, I tell you what, that team scares me. You know, I don't like Kentucky. I don't want to see them win the whole thing. I want to be able to buy a T-shirt. But they're really good. And to go and win at that environment at Texas A&M, it's going to be, it's not, the Auburn environment is going to be about the same. It may be a notch louder, a notch more intense. But Auburn, of course, is playing better than anybody in the country. They're I think in most people's mind, they're the number one team. So that's that game, and that's at 1. So it's perfect, set up for your playoff games on Saturday. And then the SEC game will have the LSU at Tennessee game, another ranked on ranked game that's at 6. So you can get your second TV set up. It's great. And then, of course, we mentioned the women's college basketball game of the week for us. Sunday, LSU at Florida. The Gators have won 3 out of 4 games on the road. And it's 4-game losing streak. Or 3 of the 4 wins were on the road. So that's pretty impressive. So we have that on in women's college basketball. The NFL game of the week, I give you 2. I'll give you 1 on Sunday, 1 on Saturday. Saturday, I think it's Bengals at Titans. It's -3.5. The Titans are favored. That's the 4:30 game. It's going to be really interesting to see how that game plays out. And then on Sunday, to me, obviously it's Bills Chiefs. I can't wait. I mean, this may be the 2 best quarterbacks in the next 3 or 4 years that you would want to start a franchise with. And it's like the beginning of maybe Brady Manning. I've heard that said a lot. Mahomes versus Allen. That's going to be fascinating. And I threw in an NBA game as well because Chicago on Monday, so this is another game of the weekend, on Monday is playing at Oklahoma City. Billy Donovan going home, going back to the place he used to call home anyway. They are tied with Miami at first place in the East. Man, he's doing unbelievably. That's what Billy does. Okay, so that is our Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. I hope I've given you a nice little guide for things you can watch this weekend because it's not going to be good. We are starting I think we're about to start our winter. And we got about 2 months of winter. This is Gainesville. 2 months of winter, 2 months of fall, and that's all you really get, a fall. And then 6 months of summer and 3 months of spring. That's the way I see it. Is that 12 months? All right, it is time for This, That, and the Other, our favorite thing. We love doing it. This, That, and the Other is brought to you by Ironwood Golf Course, by Dar Shakow Insurance, and by the Ballyhoo Grill. So we appreciate all our sponsors for This, That, and the Other. This, Billy Napier comes to town and he says, hey, man, I'm going to hire an army. You're not going to believe how many people we're going to hire. People are going to be freaking out and everything like this. All right, so that happens. That's the this. The that is that every day Florida releases a new person bringing on. As I said, today they announced, or I think it was actually yesterday, game changer coordinator, assistant nutritionist for bananas. I mean, there's everything. And you just keep seeing these people. You wonder where they're parking and everything, but they keep trying to solve problems and everything with other things, with the players wanting better parking and everything. So there's a lot of problem solving going on. But the other is that once Billy Napier got to Gainesville and started working at the University Athletic Association, you know what he discovered? It's not that bad. You got a lot of people here. You got a lot of people that are exactly what I wanted to hire somebody for. I'm not going to have to hire as many as I thought. I'm not going to have to hire. I mean, it's not going to be a ridiculous amount because you've got those people here. Now, they just need to be told exactly what to do. That's the bottom line. The difference, I think, between the previous staff and this staff is that they had the people. They brought people in. They had a lot of manpower, but they were just they didn't really have a focus on what they were supposed to do every day when they woke up. That's not going to be the case now. Everybody who works there at the University of Florida Athletic Association knows what they've got to do. So that is this, that, and the other that Billy Napier found out. UAA is pretty strong, man, and he's really happy with it, but he's still going to go over it. I bet you when it's all said and done and all the payrolls in and all the budgets, it'll be about $2 million more than last year. But think about this, and I know I'm going over. Just let me finish this one point. I'm going over just a little bit. Think about this. Think about what the money that's about to come into the SEC from the new deal they have with the ESPN, which is going to raise what everybody gets by $19 million. I heard this on Chuck Oliver the other day. Everybody in the SEC is going to get $19 million more than they get now, which the teams in the ACC don't even get $19 million. They get $17 million from their TV deal. So you got that. Then you add in what's going to happen in eventually with the new playoffs, which is going to be more money coming into college football. Florida ain't going to have to worry about money. Don't worry about where that money is coming from. It's coming from SEC and TV rights deals, and it's going into trying to make Florida great again. So we'll see how that all works out. But that is this, that, and the other presented by Ironwood, Dark Shackhound Insurance, and Ballyhoo. Thanks so much to Evan for letting me go a little bit late today, and appreciate all you guys, Ahmad Black especially. We will be back on Monday with Coach Spurrier, and that'll be fun. We can't wait to talk to him. We got a lot of things to talk to him about, and until Monday. Got a lot of stuff going on this weekend, man. I have a lot to talk about Monday. Until Monday, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.